Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, September 27th, 2017. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Miss Joanne. And on the panel this week, without the Duke, old friend Dave Handy. And to say we have a lot to talk about would be an understatement. However, as the cold front will be entering the North Country here in a matter of a couple of hours, I just want to thank Jesus Christ or whoever for this great 2 weeks of weather.
It's been the best summer weather we had all year.
David, I have been swimming more this past week than I've had all summer. And the only reason I didn't go swimming today, my lawn needed mowing and it was bone dry with a nice clean cut I got. But geez, I've been in the lake probably 4 days out of the last 5. And Monday, I went down to Williston, played golf at 92 degrees. Of course, 18 holes down there, I had a golf cart, so It wasn't bad. But there was probably, David, maybe the whole time I was there for 4 hours, might have counted 8 other people on that golf course. Nobody playing. My buddy Joe and I played last night at Champlain, 9 holes in the evening, and I think we counted 4 people. It's just so darn hot.
Well, we played tonight.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and it was hot, but you know what? It sure feels good. And you know what? A month from now, we're going to miss it.
And that's exactly why I mowed lawn. I could have probably mowed tomorrow, but I said, this is my last day to work up a real big sweat. And I did, and it felt good. So, 2 showers, and here I am later. So I promised my buddy Joe that I would not start the show with the NFL, even though that is the number one prominent news in the cycle this week. But he told me if I started the show, he's going to turn the channel on me. So
about the Yankees still hanging in
so
there.
we'll start with the Red Sox, Yankees. 5 games to go, 3 games?
3 games out.
Yeah.
And the Yankees are tied 0-0 right now. And I can tell you about the Red Sox here in a couple minutes.
Okay.
But I have one of the fellows that works for me, our finance guy's a diehard Red Sox. And I came in today, he was on the phone, and I just planted 3
games up.
And so
I think we have a call. And I just noticed I'm chewing gum too, which is a no-no in TV land. Good evening, you're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County.
Yes, good evening. I don't have a video of you folks, so I'm assuming the panel from left to right is the same as usual?
The Duke is at his camp with his kid tonight.
Well, it's good weather to be at camp.
Leonard, was 76 degrees when I headed out to the studio.
Yeah, well, I got an indoor-outdoor right here. I've got, at 42 North Elm, I have 78 outdoors, 70% humidity. 82 indoors, 66% humidity.
Yeah.
So, though it hasn't been that humid, thank God, because we haven't had any moisture. Hasn't rained in probably 3 weeks, has it?
it's dry.
So there's not a lot of that. But anyway, it's been a great run. We deserved it. Got after the summer we had.
Yeah, we did. And you know what? What really gets my goat, and I don't want to start whining too quick, but when the news media says, I'm sorry, Leonard, it's hard because you're back here.
The speaker's behind us now, and David has a tendency to look backwards. Straight ahead, buddy.
When the news media makes out, well, this is a record day, it's record hot, it hasn't been this warm since 1882, and I'm thinking to myself, well, you know what? There wasn't any global warming in 1882, and it got to be 91 instead of 92. What difference does it make? And the weather's the weather. I'm convinced of that. I think what's happened with our weather is that our seasons have pushed later. March is really now a very cold month usually. April hasn't been any great shakes, and but September, October, November have been pretty good.
Yeah, I remember, David, simply by playing golf. I remember last fall was the best fall weather ever played in, and in fact, I believe the last 2 years they've pushed the golf calendar even later. In fact, Leonard got his hole-in-one simply because they had the...
That was 2 years ago, November 15th.
Right, and they should have been closed after the 11th, but the weather was good, and they kept it open 4 more days, and Leonard J. gets his hole-in-one. But
My first.
Your first. You got one this year.
That's right.
Hey.
And I've come so very close on 2 more occasions. John Johnson was telling me this just last week, or it might have been this week. He plays alone a lot, and he's playing 2 balls a hole. He plays 2 balls on number 12 alone. He has a hole-in-one and a birdie.
Wow.
Now, Leonard, is that a legitimate hole-in-one?
That's kind of tree in the front, balls. You hear it?
Yeah. Hey, Zach or Joanne, the speaker is not working very well, and I barely can understand what Leonard is saying.
Well, that's not you. Is this better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. I was on a speaker. I'm on my cell phone.
Okay, I can hear you now.
I'm watching the Braves in a minute. But anyway, talk about the New York Giants real quick. That's a game they should have won. They did not win. Gives us actually a little hope, that game. 3-4 key plays cost us the game. Number one, I forget, in the first half, Carson Wentz, their quarterback for the Eagles, 3rd and long. Kennard, one of our better breakdown tacklers we've got. Wentz is he has no place to throw. He takes off. Kennard's got him right in his eyesight. And you may recall Wentz jukes left, and Kennard takes the bait and whiffs. I mean, that was a very key play. That led to a score for Philadelphia ultimately.
Yeah.
Kennard's a solid ball player. When he looks at the replay of that, he must really wince.
Yeah.
Obviously, the debacle in the red zone.
Oh, that was awful.
That's just a total debacle. I mean, you get one touchdown call back, the other one the kid drops the ball, and then even McAdoo admits the call was wrong on 4th and a half foot. You still don't run it because you can't run it. You've shown no propensity to be able to run, so why do you call that play? And Philadelphia sold out for the run. All you had to do was maybe fake a handoff. You got somebody open. And what was the other one? The other one was the poor punt by the Giants that led to the ultimate winning field goal.
Yeah.
And then, but the thing that really bothered me the most, and apparently John Mara too, was Odell Beckham in his dog stance and lifting his leg. I mean, where do we go with this? Where do we go next?
Leonard.
I mean, there are a bunch of what you've got are a bunch of morons making a lot of money who think I'm so fed up with the NFL and their gyrations.
Yeah. Leonard, you said on this very show last week, when OBJ's contract is up this year, do not re-sign him. And
after his display, he's the only one that made it a ball game for us.
Yeah. And he's
a super talent, but somebody, I'm sure he's going to get fined by the Giants.
And that's the disappointment, Leonard, because forget the NFL office doing anything. The Giants should have fined him. I know John Mara came out with a statement.
Well, they may still, but you may never know about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
He said they're going to handle it internally.
Leonard.
He'd probably get fined. And he's probably going to get told to shut your mouth as a result of getting fined.
I'll tell you what's worse than that, is if he were on the New England Patriots, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
And you know what? I think
if he was on Tom Coughlin's team, I don't think.
He acted like a fool.
He got away with the law with Coughlin.
He had that game against Carolina where he acted like a fool.
Yeah.
I tell you what, this is the second time the Giants in 3 games, they haven't had very many touchdowns, and they've had celebration penalties.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if I were the coach of the Giants, I would say the next guy that gets a celebration penalty, you're cut. You're cut. You're gone.
Yeah.
Off the team.
Well, you can't cut Beckham. You got to trade him. You don't cut him.
Well, I'd cut him.
But you know what?
He's worth a first-round pick. I'd trade him before I'd cut him.
I'd trade him right now.
Yeah.
I would trade. I can't stand it. I'm all done. I spent most of my day looking for an email address for John Mara to tell him how disgusted I am.
Yeah. You know, and I agree with you and Leonard. We both agree next year, let's not pay him. He's going to be looking for probably a 6-year, $120 million contract is
And
what
we owe him. We owe him, right?
But
I mean, we still own him. He can.
Yeah.
We still have. He doesn't have to have a new contract next year to play for us.
Plus, he did his black power, he had his fist up like that. So, but with all that being said, what a great ball player he is. Those two,
Oh, he really is.
those
Forget
two
all
touchdown
this
catches.
Balderall.
You know,
Yeah,
like I said before, if he's not the best receiver in the NFL, he's the second
No,
best.
he's not. He's not because he had the 5th most drops in the NFL
Right.
last year. He's not the best receiver in the NFL.
He's the most
He
exciting.
can be at times, but the best receiver in the NFL doesn't drop as many passes as he does.
Well, the pundits have him and Antonio Brown as the top 2 receivers in football. And
But
again,
again, he had so many drops last
but those
year.
2 touchdown catches, there's nobody in the league that would have made those catches
Right.
he made.
And he gets down on all fours.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. If you know, we're all parents.
Yeah.
3 of us, and if our kids pulled a stunt like that,
I read
mean,
his
they'd
parents
be
aren't too
hell
pleased
of
with
a
him
pay.
either.
Yeah. But David, let me ask you a question. I always go back to your dealership. If you had somebody that just sold a $55,000 SUV and was so excited he jumped on the floor and stuck his leg out like he was peeing, would you, David, say, come on my office, we've got to talk?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd call Franklin County Mental Health.
Yeah,
If
because-
David's, I don't think, Hawk, that's a good analogy. I think that's apples and oranges.
But Leonard, the NFL is still a business. Odell Beckham's employment is a football player. I don't care if he's selling cars for David or if he's catching footballs from Eli. You don't do the dog pee.
Well, the other.
Oh no, you're going to get targeted again. I thought the tacklers were fairly respectable when they tackled him this last Sunday. But what's going to happen again as a result of this? Every tackler is going to try to take him out for the season.
Well,
That's the tragedy of all of it. They hate the guy, and when he just seems to be, turning the corner, he pulls a stunt like that. And he changed his story 2-3 times, as you may recall.
I know.
He didn't really have an answer.
No,
he
it
didn't
was
have
an
an
idiot
answer
move.
in the clubhouse following the game. Then he made something up.
Yeah.
A couple of different times. And what's his only big commercial? I think it's shampoo, right?
I always fast forward commercials.
He's been in a lot of commercials. He was in a Buick commercial.
Not lately, though.
But I'll tell you what, I think he's poison.
Yeah. And
he's toxic like Donald Trump.
yeah,
He's toxic.
he's a very selfish. If I had to describe one word, it's selfish.
Immature.
Well, he's
Immature.
My word would be immature.
Yeah, that's fine.
And they're both one and the same.
Yeah.
I mean, immature people tend to be selfish, but immature people don't really understand what selfishness means.
Yeah. But
He's basically immature, and he came from a background. His parents are educated.
yeah.
So I don't get it. They could not control this youngster.
Yeah. So let me ask you and David a question. The Giants now are 0-3 since the new playoff format in 1990 changed. There's only been 4 teams that went on to make the playoffs with an 0-3 record.
It can be done.
So it can. But I guess the percentage might be about 3.5% chance. So my question.
Well, I don't put it that low.
But my question
it still can be done. The more bothersome thing right now is the defense too.
Right.
They give up 200 yards of rushing, and part of their problem is they're so upset with the offense that they don't put out. But when they were in the ball game, they put out.
Yeah. But let me finish my question. If they lose Sunday against Tampa,
Well,
and if the Giants management is in agreement, we just don't want Beckham back because he's a cancer to the team, I truly believe that you could get something for him by
I
trading.
think you could get a number 1 for him from some
because
team.
there's got to be some team that really needs a receiver that can put him over the top.
I think
I would trade him.
I think the Giants will give him 1 or 2 more chances to act more like an adult. And if he continues his silliness, I think, John Mara and Tish are going to, they're involved now.
What?
Reese is gone. Reese is gone. He might as well look for another job.
Leonard,
I mean, that's his offensive line. And McAdoo, his odds of coming back next year are 10%. At best.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's gone. McAdoo's not that impressive, quite frankly.
The only way McAdoo will be gone if Reese gets fired. What McAdoo has.
Reese will get fired.
I hope he does.
The fans, if that team continues to just do nothing.
Yeah.
In the last half of the season, even though they've got most of the seats sold, if only 60% show up for the game, trust me, Reese is gone.
Yeah. But I thought
McAdoo is gone.
I thought the new makeshift line did a pretty good job. Last
They
week.
Did protect, yes.
Yeah, because
I give them credit. They protected pretty well.
Justin,
again, no running game.
Justin Pugh left his left guard position, took over right tackle for the injured Bobby Hart, and the Rookie of the Year from the Canadian Football League, or the Offensive Rookie of the Year 3 years ago, Brett Jones, played left guard for us, and I thought he did a nice job.
Yeah, but he had a key penalty in the red zone.
Yeah. So the Giants this week are down in Tampa, and they're a 3-point dog in that game.
Yeah, which is basically a wash.
A wash.
Field for Tampa.
Well, the thing is that this is be the third year in a row with a bad offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got, 2 number ones and a number 2 invested in these guys?
Eric Flowers was
the number one,
9th overall pick 3 years ago. And
Pugh was number 1.
Justin Pugh out of Syracuse was like a 23rd pick, maybe 5 years ago. In fact, his contract is up after the season. And Jerry Reese, and I agree with Leonard, we all knew, okay, your grandchild knew, that we needed a left tackle. Okay.
Stevie Wonder could see it.
Helen Keller could see it.
Right.
Okay, so what did they do in April? They drafted tight end Evan Ingram. He's going to be a good player, but we didn't need a tight end this year. Second pick, we take Delvin Tomlinson, whatever, the tackle. Will be a good player, but we didn't need him. We needed a tackle. In the third pick, we took Davis Webb, quarterback. There were still, and I say this every week, there were still 2 offensive tackles that are starting in the league right now, still available to the Giants. And I don't know what they saw in Eric Flowers to make them believe he was going to improve his play.
He's too slow.
Right.
He's too slow. He gets beat. That guy from the Eagles ate his lunch.
Yeah.
And,
but. Well, I'm not going to keep you. My only other. The Braves, we have 4 rookies starting right now, and one of them is homegrown. The other 3 came through trade, and they're all doing pretty well.
Yeah, Leonard.
And
before
our best pitching is the pitching that we drafted in the last 2-3 years when they were like 18-year-old high schoolers. So our best is yet to come in pitching, and we got the minor league player of the year. We didn't bring up this year. He's 19 still.
Yeah.
I think the Braves in 3 years will be a legit contender.
Yeah, the minor league player of the year, 19-year-old outfielder Ronald Acuna for the Braves. Now, Leonard, before you go, just some nice words about R.A. Dickey. He's announced his retirement in the Braves.
Oh, he did. I didn't catch. He is going to retire.
Yeah, and the Braves offered him if he wants to pitch Sunday, the last game of the season. That's strictly up to him. He's
a gamer. He's a class act.
Yes, he is.
He was a literary major in college.
Yeah.
He's written books. He's a very cerebral individual. He's got 4 kids back home in Nashville, and I think money's not an issue. Obviously, he's made plenty of money, and he wants to get back to his family, and I understand that.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing I want to leave you with is this brouhaha about Trump. As you know, I think is an idiot. He's a middle schooler in the lunchroom. I mean, and he just, foments so much trivial stuff that gets turned into major stuff, which really is not that major considered what's going on in the world. But, it is their right to do what they do when the national anthem is played. Do I agree with it? No. But I agree with the fact that it is their right. But the best, I don't know who said it. But the best line I've heard all week throughout all this, wouldn't it be nice if the NFL players would take a knee to help stamp out domestic abuse?
Yeah, that would be good.
That stopped me right in my tracks.
Yeah, so.
There's something that's real and tangible that really could be a help to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, what the NFL, what these players, it's all tokenism what they're doing. It's not going to accomplish anything. I mean, it's political correctness at this point.
Oh.
These owners are lining up to be politically correct because they don't want to infuriate some of their fan base who may be of the persuasion that, they have a right to do. That's what they do. But I think, wouldn't it be something if the NFL players took a knee to point out and let's stamp out domestic abuse in professional sports? Then I'd be impressed, more so than I am now. But what the owners are doing with these players and the solidarity, kneeling down and linking arms, that's all economics. That's all that is.
That's all crap.
They're afraid to lose money.
Yeah.
Leonard, the thing that makes me puke the most about these guys is you got a bunch of billionaire owners and millionaire players pretending to care about the regular Joe. And
right. But you hit it on the head. Has nothing to do. Has nothing to do with the issue.
No.
It's all about the bottom line with them.
No. What the real problem is that the number one problem for these folks, and I say it all the time, it's not racial, it's demographic. You cannot have 20 or 30% of your population that's out of the loop and not getting their share of the American dream. And in the old days, you could be poor and you could move up. But today, it's very, very difficult. A lot of these guys don't move out and they stay in the same level. And it's either education, it's family, it's whatever reason. But these folks we've kind of forgotten that, I mean, we don't understand what it's like to be that way. But what they really have to do is somebody's got to tell them that this isn't communism. You've got to work for what you've got, and you've got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But instead of whining and waiting for a handout.
Yeah. Thanks, Leonard.
Oh, one other thing.
Okay.
Rick Pitino.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we'll get into that.
You should talk about that.
Yep.
I mean, the man's had an illustrious coaching career at the pro and the collegiate level.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
And that just exposes a little bit of the underbelly of what college sports is all about.
Exactly. So, okay.
It's not a surprise.
Which, again, is all about money.
Yep.
Nothing else.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, guys.
Okay, thanks, Leonard.
Thanks, Leonard.
527-6449 to be on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. I don't like the speaker back there, so I'll have to talk to Joanne after the show.
Because I'm always...
Now, Leonard let the cat out of the bag. Is he right? These players have the right to do that? Absolutely. But it's despicable. And let me tell you, and I think we have another call, I mean, everything always boils down to the almighty dollar.
Oh, absolutely.
NFL ratings, David, are down 10% this year. And let me grab a call.
It's going to be one less TV watching of Giants.
Yeah. Well,
I've had it.
Okay. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hi, guys. How we doing?
Good.
David, I couldn't agree with you more.
I'm done.
You hit it right on the head.
Caller, before you get rolling, I just want to let you know, Sunday, I went down to the lake swimming, loved it, got some sun, loved it, read, listened to some classic rock. Then I went golfing, play 9 holes, loved it. Went home, grabbed a shower, bite to eat. I watched the New York Giant football game, entertaining game. Of course, they lost. Then I watched the Nationals. But then I watched, and I avoided all the politics in football. I watched the Sunday Night American Football, NBC, the highlight show, and they showed all that protesting. And what broke me was the game in London, Jacksonville, and I don't remember the other team, with these players taking a knee during the American national anthem, okay? Then they had the audacity to stand up to England's national anthem, God Save the Queen. So I said, you freaking idiots. Did you get any education in high school or college? Okay, let me just tell you a tidbit about history of slavery. They didn't just come to Savannah, Georgia, and New Orleans, Louisiana. Europe was fed millions of slaves during that period. There's an old expression, David, being a history major, that the sun never sets on the British Empire. They thrive by the nature of slavery, okay? So as bad as we were, and we were bad, it's a horrible, horrible part of the American history. But England and other European countries are just as guilty. And for those players to stand up during God Save the Queen, shame on them. I broke. I just went bonkers. I started watching the Sunday night game recorded in Oakland and Washington. 5 minutes into it, I couldn't deal with it anymore. I was irate. So I said, don't say anything, don't be stupid. I waited till the next day. I was just as mad, if not more mad. So that Monday night, I called NFL headquarters, okay? And the phone, we have too many calls, blah, blah, blah. Caller, I promise I'll give you a ton of airtime. So I left about a
No, keep going.
Yeah.
You're good.
I left about a 4-minute rant. I said, you're speaking to a guy that has missed one New York Giant football game since 1966, okay? I go down to Jersey every year, at least once, to watch a Giant game live. That costs money. I spend a lot of money on football apparel. I said, do you know what? You know, as much as I love football, okay, I love this country more than I love football. I'm an American first. I'm a football fan second. I said, you've got a guy boycotting the NFL now. Shame on you. How could you have let your business denigrate to such a level like this?
Good for you.
And if you want to call me, feel free to call me at 802-524. And I just, now, with all that being said, I will not watch any more football games. I will watch the Giants just because it's in my blood. And lastly, caller, I'm down at Midas on Lake Street today. I've got to get some repairs on my Jeep. So I'm talking to Chris Wood. Good guy, smart guy. His father, Lynn Wood, who everybody knows, 79 and a half years old, biggest San Francisco 49er fan in the county. He called Chris Sunday evening. He said, Chris, I've had it. I am not watching any more football. He took all his 49er jerseys and apparel and threw them away.
Good for him.
Okay, and I've got some direct TV statistics and all that, but the NFL does not realize, as Richard Nixon called guys like us, we are the silent majority. We're not going to be picking up our welfare check and going on Main Street and protesting. We go to work every day, okay? But we can protest in our own way. And this has gone way overboard. And I'm just reading a ton of stuff on the internet about people boycotting. Caller, I apologize. The whole show is yours. Go ahead.
No, you're right. You were good. As David said shows ago, there democracy can be messy, and I think he hit that on the head. I kind of agree. You have a right to protest, but these guys are just taking the wrong avenue. You do not take your protest to the American flag. That flag stands much more than a piece of cloth with stars and stripes on it. You know, people died. There were sacrifices from the people that died, their families, and that is the one true icon that every American should look at and feel very humble about. Now, you want to protest, you guys, protest, take a different avenue. How anybody really can think this is right is beyond me. And again, something like you said, David, you got million and billionaires protesting, you know, not being treated right, this and that. Here you are making millions of dollars. You've got 50,000 people in the stands cheering you. It's like, you know, let's get it together, guys.
Now, caller,
I work with a large group of people, and everybody. I mean, football now has a black eye.
Yeah.
Is this little thing all worth it? I don't think so. Football has been talked about for years. Maybe slowly dying. You've got the concussions and this and that, and there's the players certainly aren't helping their cause. And I think the unfortunate thing about all this, like everything that's going on in the U.S. right now, the media will grab these things. I mean, it's the people that really feel these players are right are maybe 10% of the people in the U.S., and they're getting 99% of the press.
Yeah. Now,
The press puts everything, and it goes across with Donald Trump. The last caller apparently doesn't like him. I'm an everyday worker, my wife and I. We get up, we shower, we go to work, each of us 40 hours a week. We've been doing this for 40 years. Donald Trump, the economy has been great.
Yeah.
Our work has been great. I've watched my 401k just climb and climb and climb. Housing is up. Interest rates are stable.
Car sales are great.
These are all indicators of a great economy. Now, you do not see the liberal media saying one bad thing about Trump and the economy. They'll nitpick about what color his or his wife's shoes are, what she wears on vacation. And, again, I guess my point is the liberal media is hitting everything hard. And I think this football thing, if it would have been ignored a little more, and the Kaepernick there, the first guy, didn't get all the ink that he did get, it wouldn't have grown because now it's gotten beyond really what it stands for. It's just another division with the people in the U.S. Like I say, I work with a large group of people, and boy, there was some very unhappy people. There was a lot of football games not watched this Sunday, and this will continue. Now, I think the only two pure sports we have left is baseball and hockey. I mean, and I'm a football fan like you guys, and like you, I get into the football pools and this and that. Everybody's got a favorite player, but really to sit there and watch that during the national anthem, and I see it on TV, these people, veterans, it's all they can do to sit up out of their wheelchair with no legs to stand up for the national anthem. These people that take a knee really should wake up. And that's just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. That's just how I feel.
Caller,
I guess I'm old school.
Caller, I like to put a face on the military. Your next door neighbor to your left, Michael Hall. Okay, he's a senior.
The nicest kid you'd ever want to meet.
Mikey Hall is a top shelf premium kid. Okay, I think he's 22 years old now, senior at UVM in the ROTC program. So come May, I'm not sure what they commission them as. He may be a lieutenant. With all the world goings on, God knows what's going to happen with him. His cousin Austin, okay, freshman at Norwich University, starting as a cadet. His father, Tommy, is in his 40s. He's done 3 tours over in the Middle East. And I can tell you, this guy was not a librarian over in the Middle East. He was a full, legit soldier. These guys have sacrificed for us. And it just, do they have a right? It's the First Amendment, absolutely. Do I have a right to take my shirt off right now? Absolutely I do, but I don't think anybody wants to see it. But this is completely wrong. And
no, things are rights, but there's limitations with this, too. There should be limitations. And NFL right now, my old saying is, you've got the tail wagging the dog. The owners are too afraid to do anything. I know you guys are fed up with Beckham, but I really think the coach is handcuffed. I really don't think he could take him in the locker room and do anything. I think the way it's perceived, while leaving his antics out on the field, it sells tickets. People are entertained. The press has ink. And, may he act like a clown or not, I really don't think the ownership or the coaches can do anything about him.
Yeah. So I will tell you one thing. It's really ruined it for me. personally is I'm working on my 3 football fantasy teams today. Love doing that. It was labor today.
Well,
I was not enjoying it.
have you guys watched the thing on PBS, the Vietnam?
I've been watching every episode.
And the thing that is so striking is, hey, and I remember that. I actually was drafted. I had a draft card.
Okay.
But I never, it was all over by the time.
Yeah.
And anyway, actually my cousin Steve was the last guy inducted out of Franklin County.
Okay.
But anyway, the thing is, to me, there were some real problems back in the 60s. You had true discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
You had the war in Vietnam. I could see that was really a tough situation. It wasn't like 9/11 where the guys had bombed us and we had to go back and get them.
Yeah.
Those people had decent reason to protest. These people today, it's all fluff. They don't have enough to do.
Yeah.
And we don't have any real problems. And the whole thing with it's just crap.
Yeah. Caller, did I hear you correctly?
It's everything today.
Caller, are you boycotting football completely? Say your Rams.
I mean,
will you
the
watch
game, like Monday Night Football, of course, my wife loves watching the Cowboys.
Right.
The game wasn't even turned on.
Wow.
I don't think anybody can 100%ly boycott it, but you know what? It's not on in this house, and I have my rotisserie football like you do and stuff, but I think these guys ought to really stand back and look what they're doing. Yes, have your protest, but you don't use the national anthem and the American flag to try to get your point across.
Now,
There's other ways of doing this. Do what you have to do, but do not use the national anthem.
Caller,
a flag.
isn't your wife's father, wasn't he a full-time military guy?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and I'm sure.
And my brother-in-law, he's still in the military.
Yeah. So I'm sure your wife has a few words to say about what's going on.
Looks like
100%. 95% of the people, I feel, have the same sentiments about this as we do. They feel the same way we do. Again, it's just the media today likes to paint that bleak picture. It's really disgusting is what it is.
So
the Red Sox are heading 9-4 now.
that far. So well, anything else, caller?
Yeah, maybe we'll do a minute of baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just afraid my Red Sox are backing into the playoffs here. It's I don't know if we'll go too far. Houston's playing good ball again. Obviously, Cleveland is playing. And David, if you get any kind of pitching, your Yankees will hit with anybody. They, you guys start hitting big and getting some good pitching. Your pitchers get to the 6th inning, you guys can be as tough as anyone.
The Yankees they're okay. I'm not sure they're quite ready for prime time, but they're close. But the Red Sox look like they're on fumes right now, and I think it's going to be Cleveland and
Houston.
Cleveland and Houston will be coming out of the, and then after that, I think Cleveland.
Yeah, they look like your stronger teams, but anything can happen. That's for sure. That's what makes it exciting. A lot of players right now are pooped. A lot of 10-day disabled lists. And really, I would like baseball done September 1st or playoffs starting then. And you could squeeze a lot of more games. And I was thinking, why don't they do, maybe we discussed this before, double headers on the weekends with 7-inning games, like Saturday. Well, I know there's money, but, you're still holding your people in
it's a
the
TV
stands
money.
for your concessions will sell. And
Caller, when we were kids, there might have been 10 doubleheaders scheduled during the course of the year, meaning you play one game and 30 minutes later the second game would start. Now, if there's a rainout, Red Sox had a rainout with Detroit, and so say it was scheduled 3 months later, the Red Sox would start at 1 o'clock, games get done, say 4:15, clear everybody out for the 7 o'clock game, clean the stadium up. Because back in the day, as I said, there were like 10 games scheduled as doubleheader. You bought one ticket, good for both games, in money and TV money.
Well,
as you said,
you take like the Red Sox, where they're selling out every
guaranteed
game.
sellout. Yeah,
They make a lot of money. Those 37,000 people spend a lot of money.
and a Red Sox ticket at least averages $100 a ticket.
So
do the math.
And I could see, though, if they cut the season down to 154 games, you get a lot of these games early in the year and late in the year where there's nobody there.
Yep.
The games would have more meaning.
Yeah. But, caller, did you see the schedule for next year? They're actually starting a week earlier, like March 24th or 25th. That way they could give the teams...
No, I did not.
Yep.
My goodness.
Yep.
I think it's early enough now.
It is, but they want to give teams more days off during the season.
They got this thing where you the getaway days have to be a day game now or something. You could clean it up a lot if they really wanted to.
Yeah. Let me ask both of you guys this question. We've played all kinds of sports. We've played baseball. We've played a ton of years of softball. Did either one of you guys ever get tired from playing baseball or softball?
No.
No.
We had one softball tournament.
No, remember those tournaments we used to get into? Nighthawk, we'd play 3-4 games a day.
Yeah.
We'd get up in
We had
KC
one.
tournaments and stuff. We'd play all day long.
Yep, never got tired.
We had one in Fairfield. We won 7 games in a row.
In one game
On Sunday.
One day, 7
On
games.
Sunday, 7 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
That only happened once, by
Right.
the way.
The only thing that stopped you was darkness.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing was the trouble we had when we were playing softball was we got stuck with an early morning Saturday game. All our guys were out all night.
Hungover, yeah.
And we'd lose, and then we'd win the second game in the afternoon. Then we'd get another 7 o'clock Sunday morning game. And we were doing a barbecue. That was it.
Yeah.
We were done.
So, caller, I appreciate you giving us a buzz.
Oh, okay, you guys have a good
Yep.
evening.
Okay, good night now.
We'll see you later.
Yep, 527-6449 to be on the best damn sports show in Franklin County. And Joe, if you're still watching, sorry, but it's the news of the day, and I cannot dismiss it. Now, David, as I said earlier, NFL is down 10% this year from last year, and this was after they were down 8% last year. So let me ask you, now I apologize for keep going back to your business, but you're a local business guy. If you lost 8% of your business last year and lost 10% of your business this year, methinks your company would be in trouble.
Well, you would think about doing something different.
Yes. Okay.
Now, the other thing that I would tell you as regarding Odell Beckham or anybody like
Yep.
him, do you remember on the Football Network, they do those profiles, and they did one on Jimmy Johnson?
Yes. Yeah.
And do you remember Jimmy Johnson one time cut a player for falling asleep during the meeting?
I think I saw that show. Yep.
All right. And then somebody had asked him, said, what would you do if that was Troy Aikman who fell asleep? He says, I'd go whisper in his ear, Troy, wake up.
Exactly.
And so basically what you have, and I could see it a little bit, you asked me about my business. If I had a salesman who was selling 20 cars a month, who was really good, but had some really bad habits, I could probably overlook them.
Okay.
If the guy was doing his job. There comes a time, and we actually had this happen where we had somebody and he was doing a good job, but
Yeah.
the other issues got to be too big, and you got to say, all right, that's it.
David, what I call that is the Manny just being Manny syndrome.
Right.
Manny Ramirez got away with it because he
was
wasn't the best hitter in baseball. He was the top 3
Yeah.
best hitter. Now, if Manny Ramirez was a utility infielder that got 182 at-bats a year,
he'd be gone.
Exactly.
Your tolerance level of the antics has a lot to do with the quality of the performance of the guy that's doing it.
Yeah. Now,
And but Odell Beckham, I think he reached a new low, and I can tell you for one, I am all done with the Giants. I will not watch another game till he's gone.
Yep.
And I cannot stand
Yeah.
watching him. I can't root for him.
Yep. I don't like him. I do not want him re-signed. I don't care if he is the best receiver in football.
I can't stand him.
I can't root for him.
It goes against everything in that
Yep.
I've been brought up.
Yep, absolutely.
Now,
And David, I say it all the time. When you watch on Channel 3 Friday night, the Friday Night Football Frenzy, and see these little 16, 17-year-old players score a touchdown, they go over and hand the ball to the referee, and that worst you see is a player patting them on the shoulder pads. These kids are gentlemen, and they act like pros.
a couple years ago or last year, what Super Bowl was last year? 50 or 51?
I can't remember.
Well, anyway, they had. I think we talked about this on a show a couple years ago. They played the 1967
was the first.
Super Bowl. They played it in their entirety, just like it was on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The game only took about 2 hours, and when the guys ran the ball, every time somebody got a catch, they didn't give a high five. And every time somebody made a tackle, they weren't dancing. And every time they got a touchdown, they just gave the ball back to the referee.
Well, you mentioned 2 weeks ago, Beckham's first game back. He gets a first down. They're down 3 touchdowns, and he's giving one of those first down. So, quick tidbit on the first Super Bowl, 1967, between the Green Bay Packers and Kansas City Chiefs. It was held in the L.A. Coliseum. They only sold half
was empty
stadium for tickets, and it was not called the Super Bowl back then. It was the AFL or NFL/AFL football championship.
Right.
The following year it was called the Super Bowl because the owner of the Chiefs was Lamar Hunt, who passed away in his 90s a couple years ago. His granddaughter was playing with us. Remember we were kids?
Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl. And he thought that was a pretty cool thing, the Super Bowl. Thought about the Super Bowl, and that's how the Super Bowl got
well, Joe
the name.
Namath really.
That was Super Bowl number 3
Right.
against the Baltimore Colts.
And but I think the NFL's in big trouble.
Well, David, we've discussed the quality of play before it was even cool to talk about
The
it.
quality of play is terrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
The quality of play is bad. I think what's happening, and it's happening in youth football, it's happening all around, people are just not letting their kids play football.
Yeah. I said last week, and I was probably wrong, that it may not happen in our lifetime. I think football could be extinct before we go 6 feet under.
They've tried 1,000 different ways to make it safer, but it's inherently a brutal game.
Yeah.
Plus, the players are so big and strong
Yeah.
when they hit.
Yeah.
When they hit, the collisions. It looks like that
yeah.
call wasn't for us.
Yeah. When
No.
no call. Because when I watch high school football, I was at the MVU game Saturday afternoon. They're still kids. There's some big kids, but they're not half as fast or half as big as the pros. And you're right. There are a lot of mothers out there that simply will not let their kids play football. And this Aaron Hernandez lawsuit is huge. So, yeah, I could see football coming to an end.
Of course, I don't know. I'm no medical expert, but
You do play one on TV, though.
yeah, I would like to know if the guys that have these CTE symptoms with their brains, how many regular people have CT?
I was wondering that mowing the lawn today.
Because obviously, a guy like Hernandez was really a bad apple.
Yeah.
A bad dude. Was it caused by the football, or was he just bad because he was bad? And I think what they got to start doing is they got to start looking at other people's brains to compare the incidences of CTE with regular people as compared to football players.
I agree.
And then they, then I would say, because I really don't know. And of course, if I were the king of the world, I wouldn't start kids playing youth sports till maybe 8 or 9.
Yep.
I think that would
Even hockey?
Oh, even hockey.
Yeah. Because they always say if you want your kid to be a good skater, start him when he's 5.
Well, I wouldn't say. I'd maybe let my kid learn how to skate.
But no sticks, no
But
equipment.
no, I'd go play in the yard. Go play unorganized. What I should say is no organized sports
Yeah.
till 8 or 9, and that way the guys would pick it up fast anyway. Because I've had guys. I had a kid a few years ago, started playing hockey at 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years later, he was as good as anybody he
Yeah.
had.
If they have that natural God-given ability.
Well, and if they work. See, the thing is...
Can I tell you something? Ricky Schreiner, that we think is probably the greatest athlete. He's probably 56, 7 now.
Yeah.
But your opinion, greatest athlete we ever grew up with?
He could play anything.
The bastard. I remember he tried golf maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I'll
shooting his first time out.
Yeah, within a year he was in single digit handicap.
That's wrong.
But he had that ability. David, before I forget, I want to get back to money. The other thing, DirecTV is getting hit by cancellations of the NFL package. It costs $280 a year to buy the NFL package. That is the big ticket item to get DirecTV is you've got access to every single football game. So if you like football, you've got it here. Right. And $280 really isn't a heck of a lot of money anymore. Well, they're getting just a ton of calls for cancellation for this very issue we've been talking about. 10% of the 20.8 million customers subscribe to NFL Network. So do the math on that. And the DirecTV, and I didn't know that, was bought out 3 years ago by AT&T. Okay, I know a little bit about business. I'm not saying I'm a big tycoon, but I do know one thing. AT&T does not like losing money.
No.
Okay, they do not like losing money. AT&T's been one of the most profitable companies in the history of this country. And I think it's $1.5 billion annually on the football package. So, you know, the tire's going to hit the road here real quick.
Well, there's got to be, but we keep saying that. Of course, the situation with football is ugly, but I think what's happened is the owners are just sheep, and of course if Trump, what in the hell is Trump sticking his nose in football in the first place? That's answer number one.
He was talking to his base down in Alabama.
Yeah,
because we talked about it on the show last week, where football, this part of the world, is declining rapidly. Down in the southeast, it's huge. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Texas, it's huge.
And so. It's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
It is. Now let's go to golf. Did you watch the?
Last thing, we've endured football strikes in the past. We've endured baseball strikes in the past, hockey strikes in the past, and we all said, "Oh no, how am I going to live?" You know what, David? We got used to not watching football. We got used to not watching baseball and hockey. And like the previous caller, he's boycotting now.
Hey, it took baseball probably 10 years.
It did. Well, what got baseball back was the steroids and everybody's aunt and uncle hitting home runs back in the late 90s, early millennium. So, but President's Cup
this week. The tour championship.
Last week.
Was last week. Justin Thomas ended up winning that.
Did he? So
he didn't end up winning the tournament.
Okay, who won the tourney last?
Shuffley.
Okay.
Shuffley won a tournament, but Justin Thomas won a tour championship.
Worth $10 million?
$10 million. Jordan Spieth he had a tough day. He came in second. He got $3.5 million, or
okay.
actually, he got $3 million for being second in the Tour Championship, and he got another $500,000 or for coming in sixth in the golf tournament.
So you might want to inform the viewers out there, where I know you'll watch golf, I'll watch golf, probably because we play. And there are a lot of people, how can you watch golf, a little ball? But this format, even if you're not a golf fan,
President's Cup will be fun
it's
to watch.
fun. And you're going to have to help me here. The format is 9 matches of foursomes, 9 matches of 4 balls, and 12 single matches. Explain to me, and I should know, what is 4 balls?
Well, you're using all 4 guys. And then I think
Meaning
what they do...
There's 4 Americans against 4 world guys?
No, 2 Americans
2
versus
Americans, 2 world guys.
So they're foursomes.
So the best scorer will win that hole? Is that
hole? And then what they do sometimes is they do alternate shots. They have... they just don't play best ball.
Okay.
They alternate shots sometimes, and though they do play a lot of best ball, which is like what you would play in a member guest tournament, and match play, kind of like what we do when we play.
Yeah, I did see President Obama and President Bush are going to be down there for the President's Cup,
wow.
which is a pretty cool thing to do.
It doesn't have the same intensity.
Well, David,
as the Ryder Cup.
in order to have a rivalry, each team has to beat each other. The United States are
Has won them all.
9-1-1 in the 11 years that this has occurred. So, and this is in fact a 4-day. I thought it was a 3-day event. It starts tomorrow on where is it? NBC and the Golf Channel.
Yeah.
So probably Golf Channel Thursday and Friday, NBC over the weekend, and
Well, Sunday they have the individual matches.
and their ratings, David, in lieu of people saying screw football, could end up watching golf.
Well, and the guys are really, you take a guy like Patrick Reed, who really gets his blood boiling when he starts playing for his country. These guys at least, there's nobody kneeling at the national anthem with this crowd.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. NASCAR came out with a statement 2 days ago. Anybody that kneels at the national anthem before the start of the
You're
race,
gone.
get in your car and get the hell out of the...
You're gone. See ya.
Yeah. Bingo.
Yeah, but no, we just don't have enough real things to whine about. So they come up with these fake things to whine about.
But, and I told somebody today, and I'm not Captain America, but I love history, and I'm not saying I'm ashamed I've never done military service, but looking back on my life, I think I should have. I think it would have made a better person of me, et cetera, but I didn't. I've been on purpose to Pearl Harbor to see it. I've been to Normandy to see it. In fact, I'm going back next year. And you feel something.
Yeah, just like when we went to Gettysburg.
Yeah. You can, it's still in the air. And the beaches of Normandy, you've seen those footage of guys getting shot a zillion times. And I said to myself, geez, crow, I go to vote for a dog catcher. I have the right to vote for a dog catcher because some guy gave up his life on Utah Beach for an idiot like me, so I could have the right to vote, or an idiot like me can do a local public access show every week.
And
I have
so that these idiots can kneel down too.
Yeah,
They do have that
Those
right.
idiots have rights too.
The thing that's kind of interesting watching this Vietnam show is that to see the difference in the attitude of the soldiers from the early 60s
Yes.
to the soldiers
In the late 60s.
in the late 60s. And I believe because of that, that is why we now have an all-volunteer army.
But let me say this, and I've enjoyed the show, but it is on a left slant.
It's got a little bit, but you know what?
There were a lot of people that supported the war, but it was the people against the war that had a louder voice. Because I remember even as a kid, I don't know, I just became a Barry Goldwater conservative at age 6. And, I drank the Kool-Aid about communism being spread, and of course we get off the McCarthyism era of the 50s. I thought it was, back then, the righteous thing to do. However, when we look back in history, yeah.
Well, the nice thing they've done about this is showing a Vietnamese perspective.
Yes, that is the best thing on that.
And I had never realized how bad the South Vietnamese government was. I think in 1964, 65, they had 9 coups.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not very good. The
Have you ever considered going over to Vietnam
No.
for a trip? I think I might want to do that. sometime.
I think what we where we got sucked into it, and I've read a lot of World War II, post-World War II stuff. What they didn't mention in the show was that the reason why we were there in the first place was because de Gaulle, I read this in a de Gaulle book, de Gaulle told Eisenhower, he said, look, we got all this trouble, we got all these troops in,
Right, because France
in Vietnam.
during the 50s, yep.
You want us to join NATO, you replace our 10 divisions, and we'll put our guys in NATO, and Eisenhower did that. And when you look at the thing that I hate, the thing that I really hate about the way they look at history today, is they always look at it from our point of view today. And if you go back to 1949, when Mao took over China, the people were really shook up. You got to remember that Stalin had taken all of Eastern Europe and Latvia and the Baltics.
Yep.
And then you had the Korean War. Well, anybody that had anything to do with the communism, we were against it. Wherever they went, it was tick for tat. And it didn't matter, you could be the best president in the world, but if you were communist, we were against you.
And of course, David, you can remember the nuclear bomb exercises you did in school, getting underneath the desk. Now, I'm no nuclear proliferation guy, but I know going underneath my desk isn't going to stop me from getting burnt on a 1,000,000-degree bomb. But
and so when what happened in Vietnam was very clear, and because I've read a lot of books on Johnson, and he really had 3 choices. He could do nothing, and Vietnam would fall. He could just send material, and Vietnam would fall. Or we could go in and do the job ourselves. When you look at the other 2 options, he really only had one choice. And so once they got there, now the thing that we learned from Vietnam, I believe, is that now when we go to war, hopefully, like we did with Desert Storm, you have an objective, you use overwhelming force, and you get out.
Right. George Bush, the elder, said, we won, but I don't want to own the country. I'm out.
You don't let it hang on.
Yeah.
And and I've read books that have said that by 1972 and 73, we were really winning the war. The Vietnamese were cooked. What they did was sort of like the Battle of the Bulge. When they did the Tet offensive, and then the mini Tet, and then that other offensive, those guys they lost a lot of men. Yeah. But let's face it, we lost our will to fight. Yeah. And Hanoi knew it.
And that was, to me, the major difference is North Vietnam was highly motivated soldier, where I don't think the South Vietnamese...
Well, I think the South Vietnamese fought pretty hard. I think there were a lot of people in South Vietnam that didn't want to be a communist, because even in North Vietnam, there were purges and things, and a lot of guys got... These communist countries aren't all that great, and they've had a lot of guys end up in concentration camps and stuff. So the people that got out of there, But the other government they had wasn't any better.
Yeah.
They didn't get George Washington. Tu and Key weren't.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I will say this, Ho Chi Minh was a great leader for the North Vietnamese people. Just a highly respected.
Well, we probably would have been smarter. Of course, he was communist.
Right.
And communism is really bad, and the only place it's died everywhere else except in the United States, where it's thriving today. And hopefully, we'll learn our lesson.
Yeah. Just a couple things here before I run out of time. BFA football having a great season.
So far, so good.
And it's the Battle of the Bulge, Saturday afternoon
St. Johnsbury.
in St. Johnsbury at 1 o'clock. St. J is also 4-0, and this is the game of the year.
This will be a big game for us.
Yeah, yeah. So, BFA with their 29-man roster, as we talked about, where numbers are dwindling. Wish this was a home game. This is like one of the biggest games they've had in years. And I mentioned earlier, went to MVU. All I can say, the MVU football program, God bless you. It's building character. They played Spalding. MVU's in Division III, Spalding's Division II. They won Spalding 73-20.
Well, Spalding shouldn't be playing MVU.
Yeah, and I went there, and the people. I lived in Swanton Village in my earlier years for 15 years, and it was a pleasure being a Swantonian for that many years. But I had my big lounge chair down at the 20-yard line, had my Diet Mountain Dew, and I enjoyed the game, and I appreciate the effort the MVU
The boys, I'm sure they're giving
kids
it all they
are
got.
putting in. And I'm sure they understand it takes years to develop a football program. It just, for whatever reason, takes longer to develop football than any other sport. The easiest sport to develop is basketball. One great player can make a mediocre team look really good.
Well, you really need to have the 5th and 6th graders start a little bit.
And I think they are starting a youth program.
No, I think if they just get them started at 7 or 8,
Yep.
they can make up a lot of. Hey, when I went to BFA, we had no youth football.
It started, you're 2 years ahead of me, so you're right. When you went your freshman year, and I'll tell you, it was 1971?
70.
70. Yes, it was 70, because I started 7th grade in 1970. They just started the flag football program for just 7th and 8th grade. It wasn't Steelers or anything like that, because I remember I played for the Chiefs. We went to W.T. Grant's. Remember Grant's?
I do remember W.T. Grant.
And everybody bought the same football helmet. It was a Joe Namath football helmet. You think safety was an issue back then? It wasn't. It was just a plastic helmet. And each team, depending on the name of your team, just put a sticker, 2 stickers on the side of the helmet. And that was it. Yeah, you had a cheap helmet and a really small pair of shoulder pads, and it was flag football. So that's how I got my taste with 7th and 8th grade football. Then you started hitting. And you're absolutely right. You really shouldn't be hitting until a freshman in high school.
Well, when I was at BFA, my freshman year, our uniforms were leftover UVM.
Yeah.
They were leftover UVM, and you could see where they had taken off the UVM, right? It left the whole indentation. You could see them.
Yeah.
And but we didn't have enough uniforms. And the other thing is our helmets were all the leftover Central Catholic helmets.
Central Catholic, for the people out there that don't remember, it's right where the St. Albans Town School is. And I believe it lasted 2 years, maybe 3. And they played low division football, and they were the Central Catholic Centaurs. Now, if you want to know what a centaur is, if you ever watched the cartoon Hercules, right? Newton, that's me. A centaur is half human, half horse. But that was a great nickname, the Centaurs.
Now, when they in 1969, after the school had closed, the first year at BFA, BFA had a championship football team.
They absorbed Johnny Jacobs.
And
did Steve Kuhn? I don't think
Steve Kuhn didn't go to.
But Steve Kuhn was one of the all-time greats at BFA.
They had a lot of guys.
Yep.
and they were at least D1 North champs.
Yep.
And then they weren't any good until my senior year in 1973, when they were D1 champs and they lost to Brattleboro in the championship game, 28-0.
Yeah, went to that game. Dave White was quarterback for the team.
You got that?
Chris Costas, number 34,
Yeah.
one of the all-time greats. What a power back he was. My senior year football team, I didn't play, went 0-9.
Well, the other little known fact was that our cross-country team was second in the states that year as well.
Are you telling me you were on the cross-country team?
I was. I wasn't one of the top runners, but I was. And as a matter of fact, Coach Mashter was on that team.
He was, okay. Oh.
He was a freshman when I was a senior.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but the other thing that I had a discussion with somebody, how many girls' sports were there in 1974?
Okay. Basketball. I don't even know if they had softball. Maybe one. Basketball.
Well, if you count
Cheerleading, which I don't, but
I do, because cheerleaders are good looking back then.
right.
If you count cheerleaders, you had girls basketball.
Gymnastics you had.
Gymnastics.
That's right.
That's it.
But of course, David, 1972 was Title IX came into law.
I think it was. I think it started the girls soccer and the girls softball. I think that was about later 70s.
Yeah, I think they had it.
Maybe around by 1980 they really had girls sports and almost everything else.
Yeah.
And then of course the hockey came around 2000.
Yeah. So.
But
Thanks,
anyway,
thanks for a trip down memory lane.
that was a whole.
You know what?
era.
The thing about getting old, when you think about it or talk about it back then, doesn't even seem like me. It seems like it was another person
Oh, God, yeah.
that was doing all that stuff.
I've been listening a lot to the Beatles channel. Mm-hmm. And,
Channel 18 on Sirius Radio.
And anyways, when I was in 8th grade, the dances, mostly sock hops and play records. How many times did they play Hey Jude?
I hate, that's one of my worst Beatles songs. Now, we talk about the junior high dances. Are you talking about on Church Street over here, the St. Paul Methodist
No, ours
Church
were
dance?
at the gym.
Okay.
Because I was 8th grade.
Did you go to St. Mary's?
No. We moved to St. Albans when I was in 7th grade.
You were from Winooski?
Something.
Oh, Swintonian. Okay.
I went to St. Anne's.
Oh, okay.
From grade 1 through 6.
Were you an altar boy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was an altar boy here, too.
Yeah, I was an altar boy. I would do mass all week at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
I got paid $1 for 5 days of being an altar boy.
As a matter of fact, I was an altar boy right through senior in high school.
Good.
And but anyways, to go back to the dances in the schools, what had happened was, of course, I went to Central Catholic for 7th grade.
Okay.
And then it closed after that. And what's too bad, what a lot of people don't realize, was that they had gotten up a bunch of folks, like Mr. Spenley and my dad,
Yes.
Mr. Manahan, everybody. They had pledges for like $60,000, enough money to run the school. And the bishop said, look, we're losing all the teachers. All the priests and the nuns are dropping out. We don't have enough teachers enough. And then he said, well, it doesn't matter how much money you got, we're still closing the school. You know, if they could have kept the school another few years, as it turns out now, like Rice is barely even a Catholic high school. It's mostly a rich prep school.
Do they have many nuns teaching at
No,
Rice?
no.
Because when I was at Started Holy Angels back in '64, they were all nuns. Every class was taught by nuns. However, as I went second, third, there were less nuns. Francis Brandon, do you remember?
Now, see, you're...
He taught a whole. They were some, I don't know, what do you call them, lay people?
We had, at St. Anne's, as far as I can remember, we had one lay person,
Okay.
Mrs. Weeman.
Yeah.
All my other teachers were all sisters.
Yeah.
And so then what happened is Central Catholic went out of business. But the city school wasn't done yet.
They were 1 year behind schedule. They rented
They rented Central
Central
Catholic.
for 1 year.
And so I went to the same school,
Okay.
except I was in the 8th grade and it was run by the city.
Yep.
And I do have to say that the public school had more money and did more stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was there. So that's where the 8th grade dances were.
Gotcha.
And then when we went to BFA, of course, BFA, we had a big crowd, 1,300 students. And the campus wasn't this big campus like what we have
Half
now.
the size, yeah.
And but you know what, it was fine.
Yeah. No, I remember my junior high dances, some of the best times of my life.
I only went to a couple, but they and then when later on, boy, have we been off track tonight.
I can remember the first girl I kissed. I won't give her the
Well,
name, but I was walking her home from a junior high dance, and I was nervous, and I practiced on the mirror, and practiced with, I was afraid my big nose would hit her and probably break her face. And it was Ben Franklin's store. It's where the post office is
Right.
now. So back in 71, it was Ben, and I remember giving her a little peck, and I remember going home. I didn't walk home, David.
Yeah,
I floated. I'm in love.
I was so far removed, so late blooming. It's not even, we aren't even going to go down that road. But no, we're really off kilter today.
Yes, we are.
But no, the other thing, the other song, as the years went by, especially when I got to college, it seemed every last song was either Stairway to Heaven or Layla.
Yeah. Back in high school, every other song was Stairway to Heaven,
Yeah.
period. So I'm about ready to touch on a new topic. We have a call, and I will see if it's real. Unless-
you may have a call, or unless it was a...
Okay, we
We
do
got
have
a
a call.
caller.
Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Go ahead. Hello?
Hello?
Nope. Oh, Joanne, by the way, I'm looking at the monitor, and it says Huddle Up. That's the wrong TV show. Just to let you know. So, David, it's a good thing Duke isn't here this week, because this Rick Pitino,
Oh,
he
boy.
was suspended, but it's really he's fired. Several weeks after.
Oh, listen, tell them to call back. I patched them through.
Oh,
It's there.
okay. Call.
Caller, call back, please.
Yeah, we got 12 minutes left of the show. Rick Pitino, who we knew was dirtier than mud, was basically fired today. 7 weeks after the NCAA put Louisville on probation for a sex for pay scheme run by a Pitino assistant. And not only did they give sex to the recruits, but the recruits' fathers too. So they had prostitutes for their father at
Hey,
Louisville.
that's how you get your best
Yeah.
recruits.
FBI agents secretly videotaped a July meeting in Vegas hotel room that involved another Pitino assistant discussing an Adidas-backed plan to funnel money to a family of a recruit who would then agree to sign with Adidas-sponsored Louisville. Adidas provides all the attire to Louisville. After the Pitino assistant left the room, according to federal documents, a former sports agent and the director of an Adidas AAU program continued talking with an undercover agent and a cooperating federal witness about a $100,000 payoff to a family of a Louisville recruit.
Oh, what a surprise.
What a surprise. And you got Duke upset last week, and you were 100% right. Mike Krzyzewski is a Rick Pitino. He's a, maybe not that bad, he's a Keller Perry. Duke University has degraded themselves. And as I said last week, the 4 top incoming freshmen this year were all mocked to be a top 20 pick. And I keep telling Duke, and I'm not talking behind his back here, not that he's, here, but I guarantee you, David, when their basketball season is done late
guys are
February,
done.
they're gone. Okay, their car that was probably gifted, they're out of there, and they're practicing training for the NBA draft. And so it's
a
again,
race to the bottom.
And again, the world has changed, not for the good, and I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy. But I refuse to watch college basketball. Again, I will gladly drive 28 miles southbound on I-89 to the Roy L. Patrick Gym and see some true student athletes. But this college basketball crap,
The big time. Well, the whole NCAA, we've said that 100 times.
David, every March or February we talk about ratings today compared to back in the 70s and 80s are down about 35%.
Well,
I don't care how many channels you have.
The quality of the play is terrible.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
The kids, well, the kids aren't. Firstly, what they should do, if I were the boss, is I would tell the NFL and I tell the NBA, look, we're all done being your minor leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell Alabama, and I tell Florida State, and I tell Penn State, and I tell Michigan, and I tell, look, fellas, we're all done having these guys go to college.
Yeah.
That aren't college students.
I do have a question I do not know the answer to, though. Okay, you get a 19-year-old kid into your dealership, wants to be a car salesman. You think he's got potential, you hire him. You got a 19-year-old that wants to go from high school
He ought to be
to
able
college,
to play.
but they have that rule, you have to play 1 year in college. I mean, I don't understand, David, why that's not illegal to...
Yeah, I think the reason why it's not illegal is because it was part of the collective bargaining.
Okay.
I think you give up, when you have a union like that, I think you give up some of your rights.
Okay.
And,
Okay, that makes sense.
And but I think if NC, and of course it'll never happen, and this has been going on since Jim Thorpe. People have been paying to play back. If that book I read on about the Carlisle Indians.
Yep.
When they were playing the Harvards and the Yales back at the turn of the century, those guys were all dirty. They had guys playing football for them that weren't matriculating, just like the guys do today.
Jim Thorpe, I remember reading about him 50 years ago, would have two alias names so he could go play for other schools.
And what he did, where he got in trouble, what they finally, and they took away his Olympic medals, which was really wrong.
Mm-hmm. They gave it back to him, I think, probably within the last 10 years.
Of course, he wasn't there to catch him.
Oh, he's been dead forever.
What his problem was a lot of these guys would play minor league baseball under pseudonames.
That's it, yep.
But Jim Thorpe, not being sneaky enough, just used his own name, and he played for some team in the Carolina League.
Yep.
And that's what they got him on.
Yeah.
And but the money, if you go back to the 40s when they had all of the betting on the college basketball, and you had the whole business with NYU and what was it, CCNY, I think. All these, but the NCAA now, they have no reason in the world to cut it back because the TV money is so big that it's funding all this other crap, all of these Title IX sports that don't have enough, that don't generate enough revenue.
It's just
really
boggles
crazy.
my mind. A guy like Krzyzewski from Duke, I think, makes about $10 million a year.
And he could make more if he was really, if he was really into money. I'm sure if he told Duke, hey, I want 15, they'd give him 15.
Yeah. So we got about 5.5 minutes left in the show.
It's like, who's the coach for Alabama?
Oh, Nick Saban, the football
He
coach.
gets, what, 7-8 million?
At least, absolutely. So I know we've been enduring, loving it, the 90-degree plus heat this week. So a week from tomorrow night, the puck drops for real. Bruins have 2 exhibition games. Canadians are playing Toronto tonight and have 2 left. Next Thursday night, where is it here? Bruins open up at home against the Nashville Predators, and Les Habitants play at Buffalo next Thursday night. It's just hard to fathom, and I have this hard time believing every year that we're into real life hockey next week.
The real hockey starts a week.
From Thursday.
No. Following week, the Friday after that is old timers hockey.
Your
October
hockey
6th.
league?
October 6th. Yeah.
You start that. When do they put the ice in at Tacoma?
They usually put the ice in about the first week of October.
And you're still playing hockey
Yeah.
at your old age?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm not the oldest guy.
Wow.
Hockey's the one sport old folks can play,
Yeah.
especially the way we do it. I mean, there's no checking, no slap shots.
Good for you.
Skating isn't hard on the joints.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking to an old sport friend of ours, Eddie Leahy,
Yep.
and Eddie still he coaches the town basketball team now,
The kids?
the kids,
Okay.
and the 7th and 8th grade.
Yep.
And he was talking about basketball. I couldn't run from me to you without tearing something up.
Okay.
Playing basketball.
Yeah.
But I can skate all day.
Yeah.
Skating is not. It's easier on the joints.
Yeah. Good.
And-
Good for you. I mean, there's not many people that play past 60.
Well, actually, I'm probably just. Well, no, I'm probably not. I'm probably not that much worse than I ever was because
Well,
I
that
never
was my
any good.
follow-up question. Let me guess. You're 61.
One.
How old are you at 61 versus 41?
You're probably not quite as fast.
Yeah.
But my golf, I'm as good a golfer as I ever was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But golf is a little different.
The mental aspect.
But
yeah.
I probably still hit it as far. But golf is, what other sport besides golf can a 60-year-old guy play against a 20-year-old guy?
Right.
None.
You know, I would love to go out and play softball again or play some football, but those days are very, very long gone. Just a quick bit here. Matt Cain, pitcher of the Giants, he announced his retirement today,
Okay.
and he's 32 years old, but he made a ton of money.
Yeah, he did.
And he hasn't. I thought he was going to be a Hall of Famer for.
He was
a period.
great for a while. It must be his
Yep.
arm never came back.
And so he has no motivation to get better physically. He's made, my guess, probably $100 million in his career. Why go through all that?
Well, a lot of these guys, you know, it's funny to say, a lot of them would play for nothing. You look at what CC Sabathia has done this year for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Guy's knees shot. They got to shoot. They got to fill it up with juice about every month. He has to get a cortisone shot. Every time you get one of those cortisone shots, you're wearing out your cartilage a little bit more.
David, I was just thinking here.
Okay.
Next Wednesday night, the 2 wild card games have been played. Is it Tuesday and Wednesday of next week? Is that how it works?
I think so.
Boy, and I should have checked that, and I'm not sure who plays first. And are they? I'm going to presume they're both night games, just for ratings purposes.
I would think so.
And
6-1 Yankees right now, and 9-5 Red
yeah,
Sox.
you know the Yankees, David, as we mentioned a couple
They're a
weeks ago,
dangerous team.
right? No, I've got the clock
You got
right
it
in
right
front of
here?
me. Oh, it's not
Oh.
right. Okay. We talked about the Indians during their 24-game streak, whatever. Like, the negative was, did they peak too early? But what I'm liking about the Yankees right now is it appears that they are playing their best baseball
Well, they
of the season.
if their pitching holds up.
Yeah. So Joanne's about ready to throw a brick at me. So with that, David, thank you so much for showing up. I will
We
admit,
don't have any trouble, just the two of us.
I was getting a little nervous. For Miss Joanne, I'm the Nighthawk, and always remember, you good folks out there, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Till next week, everyone, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.